As our understanding has continued to evolve regarding systems thinking, our models and methods have also continued to evolve over the last 7 or 8 decades. From initially the work of Bertalanffy and Weiner in the 30s and 40s with general systems theory and cybernetics, using that as, and you know most seem to agree that Bertalanffy is probably the considered to be the father of modern systems theory today. Based upon that their initial work and their efforts in the systems thinking and the development of the International Society for System Sciences, beginning to make people more aware of systems thinking and the benefits of employing it, it was quickly found that there are certain situations that the models and methods that had been initially developed simply could not deal with. The inability to deal with multiple perceptions of reality, inability to handle extremely complex situations, and an ability to escape from conservative bias and dealing in contexts where the stakeholders are essentially coercive with regard to their beliefs and objectives. And there's a element of this picture that's actually missing, and that's the right in the 50s, late 50s time frame, the development of system dynamics by J.W. Forrester, which also begins to address some of these difficulties. And as typically as is typical in cases where we employ a method and it simply is unable to deal with the situation that we attempt to apply it to, we we evolve the methods or develop new methods. So specifically, the soft systems methodology developed by Checkland was intended or is intended, I mean, it's still in use today, to deal with dynamic situations where there are multiple individuals involved, multiple stakeholders involved with different perspectives on the situation, though they can in fact come to an agreement and an alignment in certain instances. Subsystems methodology allows us to deal with those various different stakeholders having multiple perspectives on reality and how we still are managed to employ that to evolve a solution to address the situation. The extremely complex situations, the organizational cybernetics developed by Beer, along with the complexity theory that is continued to develop, and the emancipatory systems thinking, primarily an outgrowth of the work of Ackoff and Churchman, now the best statement of it in the work of Ulrich, to deal with those situations where the stakeholders involved are in fact unlikely to agree on much of anything, and the intent is to try and figure out how to develop to the greatest extent possible a sense of fairness or diversity in the solutions. And this is the multiple methods are now being evolved into a perspective called critical systems thinking, which essentially employs the appropriate models and methods dependent upon the nature of the context in which it needs to be addressed. Though even with the evolution of all of these models and methods and continuing to evolve, one gets to a point of simply being overwhelmed by so many models and methods. Either I have to study for 50 years before I'm at a point where I'm capable and qualified to begin to really figure out strategies to address situations, or every time I run into a situation, I need a dozen specialists to to work together to figure out how to address it. And it, from my perspective, there's still something missing. So, and we'll get to that in another video shortly. So, see you soon. Bye.